Good morning and welcome to the podcast, Touch One Life, Touch Millions with Dr. Eve. And welcome to my channel to new subscribers and old. Again, thank you for coming and welcome. We have launched a our podcast this month to really campaign around developing your story and documenting your history. Since we are in Black History Month, we thought it a really good time to really help people to build their own narratives, right? We have every year around this time, we are celebrating the lates, the greats, the those who've come before us, the giants, the shoulders we stand on. But what about you? I'm committed to finding out a little bit more about you, right? One of the things that has been important on my journey to becoming is to leave a legacy for my children, leave documented history for my children to not only remember, but for them to have for their children's children, to leave into the Library of Congress, to leave in libraries. And as we know, a lot of things are being removed, a lot of our history, a lot of our books are being removed. And so I think it's important that we document our own stories, right? And share as much about us as appropriately that we desire for people to know. And today's topic is, what pets did you have in your house growing up? What pets did you have in your house growing up? Now, when I mentioned this prompt last night, it tickled me because I know that as a mom, as a 61-year-old, we've had a lot of pets for one reason or another along the journey. And so I want to talk about that because I am not only documenting history, but I'm teaching using your story to build the capacity of you to share with others, to start your entrepreneurial journey, and all the things to have conversation about things that really matter to you. Now, if I were a dog lover and I would dog lovers were my target market, then this topic would be ideal for me, or story would be good for me to have. So, what pets did you have in your house growing up? So, when I was a youngster growing up with my parents, we had a dog, our very first pet. His name was Smokey. He was a German Shepherd and he was huge, can I say. I was afraid of Smokey. I was this timid little girl, though. I was, if you boo at me too hard, I probably would shake. But Smokey was a big German Shepherd. He was kind, he was quiet, um, and I believe sometime he was lonely. And we had a big old house, and but Smokey lived in the basement. And when I reflected back on that today, I was wondering, like, that couldn't have been a very nice experience for him, living in the basement away from all of the camaraderie, right? The only time I remember him being out was in the summers when we would let him out in the yard because it was warm. But most of the time, during the winter months, he lived in the basement. And I think that's primarily because he was a big dog and that there were so many children in the house, right? We every time again, Daddy would let him come up, when there, but our guest would always be afraid. And so there were so many of us children that to have Smokey running around, our friends would never, could never be around if he was upstairs because they were afraid of him too. so so anyway, there was Smokey, and there were many more pets to come after I became an adult and married. We had pets for our children, and that became a sad occasion sometimes. We knew that to have pets, to teach the children how to treat the pets was a very important thing, a very important thing to do because we wanted to teach them to be kind to the pets. And one of the pets that I remember having when when our children, we had fish, we had parrots, we had more dogs, right? We had fish, we had parrots, and we had more dogs. But we had funerals too, and that got very old because the children got attached to these pets, and if they expired, man, I'd have to deal with the woes. The woes of burying these pets. We had funerals for these pets. And we want to talk about how big a part of your life were they. They were a big part of our lives. They were a big part of the children's lives. They again learned how to treat the pets, but not only that, it gave them responsibility to nurture something outside of the home. I think about God's original intent for us was to care for all the inhabitants of the earth, all of that which he created, and that would be the birds and the animals, the fowl, the fish of the sea, all of those things, right? We were to care for them, and we were to do that. We were to do that by not causing them harm. Oh God, I've had to repent. I've had to repent for a cat that I didn't treat so kindly. Um, and it was simply because I left the cat in a place that he couldn't get out. So that was the thing. Like I didn't like hurt the cat, but I did hurt the cat because I didn't let him out. But I've had to repent for that because that would left a bad feeling over me when I was a young adult. Um, but yeah, so having these pets were very important to us, but every time we lost one, especially if one of our children was very attached, it brought a lot of emotions. Now, the final pet, well, I can't say it's going to be the final pet, but we had one pet we had for a very long time, and his name was Simba. Simba was our poodle. He was my daughter's puppy. We bought him when he was a puppy, and we bought him when she was very young, maybe around 5. Pardon me, maybe around 5-ish, and he wore me out. He was her pet, but she was not having it. She didn't want to wash him. She was the baby of the family, y'all. But she wouldn't want to wash him or keep him clean or anything. So he became my pet, really. Now, mind you, my fear, I was afraid of dogs. I was afraid of dogs. So we got this little dog thinking, he would stay small, and he did. But there was still so much work. It was so much work in taking care of this. He was like a baby. He was like a one of the members of the family, and he stayed in the house, and that was hard, because you got to walk him. You got to do all the things that to take care of them. You got to bathe them. You got to keep their hair cut because he often looked like Gruffy because he would not let he was had what would I don't even know how to describe him. He had social anxiety. He had social anxiety. We took him to the vet. He would bite the vet. We took him to the to get groomed, and he would bite the groomers. He just didn't want other. He had social anxiety, and so we would even have to give him tablets before a pill before we took him to the vet or to the groomers. So you know what that meant? I had to learn how to cut puppy hair, dog hair. So y'all, I tell you, the we've had a lot of pets in our family, and we've had to bury a lot of them, and we've had to have funerals. And Simba was around for 16 years. So he passed away last year. It was sad. It was really sad. When we moved here, I made a home for him in the barn because he had begun to decline, and he couldn't hold sometimes he would just relieve himself. He just didn't care, and he was just not caring anymore. I wanted to put him down, but my daughter, she wasn't having that. And so we had to just make a comfortable place for him to exist. And I did that in the barn. And but he somehow found himself up onto the patio one day. I don't know what he was a scary dog too. So he was afraid of his own shadow. So you boo at him too hard, he was gonna shake and tremble. But he got trapped. He got trapped around the pole and harmed himself. So, again, it was always, I never wanted to find him that way, never wanted to find any of our animals that way. But again, the journey ended again with a pet. I was hoping that, I didn't ever want to find him. My thing was I'd gotten so attached to Simba that and my daughter would not let me put him down, but I gotten so attached to him that I didn't want to walk up and find him. I didn't want to find him deceased. So that was the thing. I just really didn't want to find him deceased because I just didn't want to find him deceased. I'd gone through that. I'd gone through that with my children, but this dog was really our family dog. He was 16 years old. No, he was older than that because my daughter, yeah, because she was 21 when he died. Yeah, it was last year. So she was 21 when he died. And that meant that he was 4 when we purchased him. No, it was longer than that. So we had him longer than that. It was 18. Y'all pardon me if I be looking to the left or to the right. I am trying to learn how to look into this camera so I can keep talking to you all. But a lot of times when I'm talking and thinking at the same time, I'm just all over the place, but I will get better. So at any rate, we are here at the on the podcast with Touch One Life, Touch Millions, where we are charting our history here in the month of Black History. And our prompt for this month was, what pets did you have in your household growing up, and how big a part of your life were they? Begin to have these conversations, write down the prompt and tell us what you came up with. If you've had pets in the house, what did your pets mean to you when you were growing up? We want to know. So come back here and tell us, share the live, begin your own journal here on Black History Month. Subscribe and like our channel and come back tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about, here's the prompt for tomorrow. So before I leave you, the prompt is, describe using all 5 senses your childhood home. Describe using all 5 senses your childhood home. If you moved around a lot, describe the one you remember best. Okay? So tomorrow again is describe using all 5 senses. That means your eyes, hearing, your sight, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and feeling. Okay? So those are your 5 senses. Hearing, smelling, seeing, tasting, and feeling. Okay? So you're going to, again, describe using all 5 senses your childhood home. If you moved around a lot, then describe the one that you remember best. Okay. This is Dr. Eve right here on the Touch One Life Touch Millions podcast, where we are charting our history for this month. Excited to be with you. Again, welcome to my new subscribers and old, thank you for returning. Peace and blessings to you.